Hello everyone. Now I was going to mention this in the previous episode, but I kind of forgot to do so, and I think it would fit better in this episode anyway. But the hardest part of making any Behemoth Blogmaster video is not so much making them, it's thinking of the topic to talk about. The last episode, what was it, Elements in the Rough? I felt like I could have done better. I felt like it was kind of rushed out just so I could make that announcement about my coworkers as soon as possible. It's not a bad video, but at its best, it's just decent, and that's not what I'm going for. I'm going for really good here. I'm not saying like my videos are masterpieces, but when they get good, they get good. Like, more good than they get bad. As far as rushed out episodes go, this is one of the better ones. And you know, sometimes topics can come frequently. Like, there's been times where I've done 2 episodes in the same day. 3 if you want to count the very first day I ever did these kinds of episodes, May 2nd of 2019. But those were not the standard of today. And other times it can take like, I think the record's like 7 weeks or something. It can take a long freaking time. And if you saw the last video, you'll know the names of my coworkers. So Shane, he's the oldest one who works back there, and he's been giving me ideas, but I had to keep shooting them down. I was like, I don't know if that'll work. He's given me like 3, and I kind of had to say no to all of them. It's kind of funny, because Zach was like, it's not that your ideas are bad, it's just that they suck. And I'm like, no, it's not that, it's just, I do things in a very specific and unique way. It's hard to explain, and I don't even know if I can explain it, but it just has to be done in that particular way. It can't just be about my life. Like, I can't just like make a top 10 best days of my life or anything like that. It's gotta be like themed or something. Like, if there's any way to describe it, it would be that, but I don't even know if that covers it. I guess you could say it has to be done in the autistic way. And well, that gave me the idea just to make an episode about autism as a whole. I was diagnosed with it when I was about 5 years old. I've had it my whole life, but I was diagnosed, like they were aware of it when I was about 5 years old. And it was the year before that when I started actually talking. Like, I would say small words before that, but it wasn't until I was 4 when I would start saying full sentences. Yeah, it took me that long. My mom and my sister were pretty worried that I would never actually speak, but look at me now! But the point is, what does autism mean exactly? Like, what is its definition? Well, to tell you the truth, it means whatever you want it to mean, if you have it. Because it varies, and every single human on Earth, neurotypical or autistic, is different in their own way. It's kind of hard to describe what it means, because it means all sorts of crap. There's millions of people that have it. For some people, you can hardly tell that they have it. Other people, it's so freaking obvious that they have something in their head that isn't considered normal or typical. So how do you make an episode about autism if you don't know the true definition? I think people without it would have a better understanding of what it means than people with it. At least when it comes to me. I don't know about you other guys, but... Well, although I don't know the true definition of autism, I do know that there are a lot of common elements between most, if not every single autistic person that has ever walked this earth. Or some of them don't even walk. Like, some of them are so autistic they can't use language, they can't get out of bed, they throw tantrums and break stuff. Yeah, I'm definitely not one of those people, but the common elements are kind of like this. You don't tend to like loud noises or bright lights. However, there are a lot of non-autistic people that also have that same issue. What is something that is exclusive to the autism spectrum? The only thing I can think of is the whole stimming thing. If you ever see an autistic kid or grown up or whatever, if you ever see them do this or this, yeah, that's called stimming. Quite frankly, it feels good to scratch the back of my head like that, as if I'm some sort of monkey. Usually happens when I get excited. In fact, no, it pretty much always happens when I get excited. If I don't feel happy, I'm probably not going to be doing it. But of course, you might vary. If you even have it to begin with, that is. So yeah, more professional doctors can tell you more about this autism stuff. Asperger's, autism, ADHD, whatever the hell you want to call it. I think all those 3 have slightly different definitions, and they're not exactly the same thing. But I guess we'll just talk about how my autism works. And quite frankly, if you haven't watched that many videos of mine, you'd probably not even realize I had it. I mean, if you saw me in person, it'd be pretty damn obvious, but Now, about a year ago, my parents and I decided we would order this for me to read. And you're already going, Kale, you read that load of cringe? That's just ass right there. Well, it's not so much that I like this book, but it does have some good pointers for children about this sort of thing. The whole reason we ordered it was so I could teach my sister about how it works, but it's been a year and we still haven't exactly told her yet. I guess we just don't want her thinking that I'm some sort of, like, weirdo, that I'm, like, malfunctioning or something. We don't want her to think that something's wrong with me. In this book, it's about an 8-year-old named Ben. When I did my Instagram post about this 1 year ago almost, I accidentally said it was an 80-year-old, not 8. And I would say, oh, the kid liked to name every single planet and star in our galaxy. And they'd probably be confused. He's like, an 80-year-old child? That makes no sense. But I digress. No, he's an 8-year-old. And like I just said, apparently he knows every single planet and star in our galaxy. But look, I'm telling you right now, he does not. There's billions of those things. Look, I'm an expert with numbers, okay? I love numbers, but I don't know how to count to 1 billion, dude. There's a limit. You can be really good at something, but that doesn't mean you're, like, perfect with it. It is still pretty impressive, though. Like, I wrote on a notepad the topics I have blogged about from episodes 1 to 114, and gave it to my coworkers, and one of them read off numbers, and I just gave them what that topic was. Like, for example, episode 26 was about a sports dream. Episode 49 was about the Tooth Fairy. Yeah, I can tell you that just from the numbers, any freaking episode, and we're past 100. See, that's the thing. When we get good at something, we get good. Probably better than the neurotypicals get good at their stuff. Sure, we have our weaknesses. Don't get me wrong, I hate sports, and I'd probably rather be dead than participate in them. Like, my gym teacher back in 8th grade was asking me, like, you play basketball with your dad, right? And I'm like, I don't know where you got that information from, but it's not true. I don't play any sort of sports except maybe golf, and bowling's kind of mediocre, but the others are horrible. When I was in 8th grade and doing physical ed and we were just doing softball, instead of running from base to base, I literally just walked. I couldn't give less of a crap. So yeah, we have our strengths. Mine are numbers and computers. My body feels old. I feel like more 72 than I do 22. But my brain feels young. My brain feels more 16-ish. And a weird mix of all those sorts of things. If you want to be technical, I am 22 years old, but it doesn't matter to me, and it shouldn't matter to you either, because we're programmed differently than the neurotypicals. It should be pretty obvious. Like, back in my school, and I don't want to talk about this place any more than necessary, but there were a few students that I swear to God, there was nothing wrong with them. Well, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of us. Well, scratch that. There were some idiots at my school, but the point is, it felt like there were neurotypicals at my school. These people would have fit just fine in a public school. This is a private school meant for learning disabilities, and it doesn't have to be major, but I don't even think you have minor. Whatever, man. I'm not here to judge people, but I'm just saying it just feels so thrown in there just to have an excuse to go to a smaller school or something. I don't know. Maybe you have your differences, but the point is, we don't need to keep talking about that place anymore. So how would I describe me on the spectrum? Well, here's one thing you'll probably find interesting, but I watch a lot of videos. Mostly YouTube videos, not really movies and stuff, but when I see a part in a video that I really think is cool and it makes my brain jog and I start thinking about stuff with it, I will play that over and over and over again. Like, if it's just 10 seconds of that same clip, I will play that for 30, 45, maybe even an hour. I also like to listen to music on loop. Most people would probably find that annoying. Like, I remember back when I watched more TV than I do now. I don't watch TV ever now, but if you remember that one part, well, you probably don't, because it's such an irrelevant show nowadays, but the Fairly Odd Parents, that Nicktoon, you know. Why the hell are we talking about that crap? Well, there was one episode where the female fairy lifts the male fairy over her head, and yeah, I know what their names are, but I'm not a dork. So the female fairy puts the male fairy over her head and just sticks him in the ringer. I used to think that was just great. Like, I love that crap. I don't know why. I think it's because I kind of like it when girls pick guys up. It's usually the other way around, but when it's not, it gets kind of interesting. Yeah, I know it's a cartoon about fairies that look exactly the same as people, so anything's possible, but still, it just blew my mind back when I was like, I don't know, a little bit over a decade old. But it annoyed the hell out of my sister. She was like, you have been playing that same part of the episode over and over again. I now realize that, yeah, doing that around other people wouldn't really work, because you don't have that kind of brain like I do. Thankfully, though, I have discovered headphones, and that seemed to solve the problem. And it still goes on to this day. The most recent time I did that, I think I was watching a clip from the movie known as The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. It's a 1958 movie with Greek mythology. The effects are horrible. Like, you can tell that the Cyclops is not really there, even in their universe. But it's a 50s movie. It's excusable. But the main character, I think it was, I don't know any of the characters' names, I've never seen the movie, but he was like, if your lamp has such power, why didn't you destroy the monster? And the guy with the lamp is like, the genie of the lamp cannot be used to work harm. But in protection, his powers are invincible. I know that's not really anything related to autism, but hey, I liked it. I played it over and over and over again, and we're talking about loops and stuff like that, so why the hell not bring it up? We gotta make this episode longer. So yeah, a lot of the things we do might not make sense to the neurotypicals, and quite frankly, it should be obvious there's more neurotypicals than autistic people, or Down syndrome people, or people with any other disability combined. And you know what? Sometimes we autistic people damage ourselves. It's never on purpose. I mean, maybe it is for some of us, but I remember one time in 7th grade I kept yanking hair off my head. Literally, I would just twist it and then just pull it out. I don't think I got anything there, but I don't want to do that right now. I don't know why I did that. You'd think that would hurt. And, you know, I had to go to school with a big-ass bald spot. It made my mole visible, which if there was any chance we had to get that thing removed, that would have been the time. But then again, I don't want a needle in my skull, so forget it. Because my grandmother, when I got a skin tag removed recently, she was like, did they use scissors to take it off? And I'm thinking, scissors? Really? Nobody has the right to do anything with scissors to my body except for hair. But that's how it was back in her day. So yeah, we could be here all day talking about this stuff, but I think you guys understand. So I will see you later, and yeah, get the hell out of here.